What's up guys? Today we're going to be checking out the Atom Project on 4K Netflix. I've been meaning to do this when it first came out, but I got a little sidetracked. I'm not here to talk about how good or bad the movie is, I'm just going to share some of my thoughts on the audio and the video quality. Now let's go over a few tech specs. The movie was shot in 4.5K. It's got a 4K DI. It's rated PG-13. Runtime is 106 minutes. Aspect ratio is 239:1, and the audio is in Dolby Atmos. Before we take a look at the Atmos viewer and see how active this mix is, if you don't know what the Atmos viewer is, you can find a link down below in this video's description that tells you all about it, what it does, and where to get it. You can also find a list of all the gear that I use for these 4K reviews down there as well. Right from the opening, you can see that this is a real deal, legit Atmos mix. No static objects. Everything scales to every one of my speakers. That includes the wide channels and the center surround, and if you have more channels, I'm sure it'll fill those in too. There's lasers that zip from side to side, mechanical noises from the interior of the ship that surround you in all directions, and some excellent overhead panning when the ships fly from back to front. Now, I'm not sure why everyone seems to put Top Gun Maverick on their demo audio list, because this movie dumps all over it for aerial fights. At 54 minutes in, just like in the opening, there's excellent panning in all directions with each ship flying between upper and lower channels with lasers and explosions going off in different speakers, tracking perfectly what you're seeing on screen. There's another standout at 36 minutes in with the bad guys dematerializing in the lower channels, and when the ship comes into the scene, it flies in from the top rear speakers, and it even hovers in the top right channel while Reynolds and the bad guy are having their brief dispute. It's subtle and adds a little touch of realism to the scene. Obviously, the action scenes are knockouts, but so are the quieter ones. There's objects that are active like environmental effects that create a large soundstage in every direction to give you a full immersive sensation. And there's a killer speeder bike-esque scene at 41 minutes that, again, follows perfectly what you're seeing on screen. As for the bass response, I can't think of another new release movie that I've seen recently with bass that hits this hard and digs this low. The explosions will rumble your walls, and the bass drops during the wormholes and even the lightsabers swooshing around will have your neighbors knocking on your door. And you get all of this Atmos goodness without having to raise your volume 10 dB higher than normal like almost every other streaming movie out there. If you're new to the channel and you're in a home theater and want to keep up with the latest and greatest in audio and video gear, tap the subscribe button for new weekly videos. As for the video quality, and this being a Netflix stream, I found it to be very close to being 4K crispy. It does look like there may be a very light layer of digital film emulation going on, which takes the edginess out of shooting on digital. So edges and lines have a little softness to it with a very faint layer of grain. I think if this was to come on physical media or even the Kaleidoscape, the grain structure might be a little more refined. It's still one of the best looking streams out there with plenty of subtle detail from facial features, and it's even so good it makes the digital flames look not so real. Although the CG for the most part does blend in really well. A lot better than what we got in the Flash. As for the HDR, it's not quite super bright, but it's not overly dim either. I'd say it's a couple steps below Aquaman. It's got a max CLL of 943 and a max FALL of 1000. The specular highlights have really good bright clean pop from the lasers and explosions, although not quite bright enough to make you squint. The colors are natural, albeit a bit subdued, so you won't get those bright vivid HDR colors, but the movie still looks perfectly fine and natural. The black levels looked great, although sometimes bordering on crushing details in the darkest scenes, which I'd suspect might be because it is a digital stream, but I didn't find it to be distracting or took me out of the movie. Overall, this is a great looking Netflix movie which I hope finds its way to disc or the Kaleidoscape. I'd have to go and give it an 8.7. For audio, this is what you think about when you say Atmos immersive audio. This mix should fill out every single one of your speakers for a true immersive surround sound extravaganza. The bass is some of the best I've ever heard, and the volume didn't suffer from being too low. I'm going to give the audio a 9.9. And I'm only going to give it a 9.9 because I know it would be even better if it was lossless. So what are your thoughts on the Atom Project on Netflix 4K? Have you seen it, and what'd you think of the transfer? Leave a comment down below and let me know. As always guys, thanks for watching. If you'd like, you can follow us on social media, and if you want to support the channel and get exclusive content or great discounts on audio and video gear, then stop by our Patreon page. Be sure to like this video if you found it useful and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you again in the next video.